Awesome volunteers. Here's Miss Erin, and I just wanted to talk with you guys a little bit about the teacher guide that I send out to you every week. The beginning of our teacher guide is the story that we're going to be covering for that week. Here's where you can find it in the Bible. It's actually a script that the Gospel Project uses. It's more kid friendly. Um, then we always have our Christ connection. The point of the Gospel Project that they really try to focus on is how all stories, connect to Christ. Like all stories of the Bible connect to Christ. So, and that shows that God has an overarching rescue plan. Like these weren't isolated incidences; these were all together one story to put together God's plan. So each week we talk a little bit more about how this story either foreshadows Christ or is a fulfillment of what he's done. This teacher Bible study part is more just for you. It takes you a little bit more in depth. Imagine if you had a study Bible, this would be the commentary kind of under the study Bible. Sometimes there's some cool tidbits of information that you might want to share with your kids, especially if they're older. But really, the section is for you. Here we have as they come in, you want to put out the different games or Play-Doh or some coloring, those types of things. And we really don't want kids running or horse playing around. We want them engaged in a quiet, calming kind of activity. So if you see someone who's running around and acting a little crazy, I like to do, this is what I like to do. I usually like to pull out a game and be like, all right, who's ready to lose at this game? And usually you have the kids being like, oh, I can beat you or whatever. And that's usually for the older kids. For the younger kids, then I usually am like, all right, I'm going to make a pizza with my Play-Doh. Who's going to make it with me? And usually that engages them in whatever it is that you're doing. That is a great thing for your assistants to be doing, as the lead should kind of be talking to parents as they come in and, getting the kids kind of engaged. If you have a new student who comes in, getting them involved in like one of those activities is really good. So these are kind of things that help engage the kids in the beginning and also help to bring the new kids in. So if you have a new kid and they're a little hesitant, you might want to say something like, how good are you at Legos? Like that's what I'm always like, how good are you at Legos? And they're like, I'm all right, or I'm really good. Can you show me? And you kind of want to engage them into the activities that are happening. You'll have your 2 to 3 minute warning by the bell. That's your opportunity to think, okay, well, we got to clean up. And then we got to get ready to move on to the next thing. So I always have the kids clean up, calling them out by name and saying like, hey, Joey, I really need you to clean up the connects that you're playing with. Or, hey, Jessica, can you clean up that Play-Doh? Trying to get them involved before they line up. So then we move on to the activity. So as the service is, they have 3 rotations that are about 20 minutes each. And so you have an activity that connects to the lesson. And it's written, some of them are written that it could really be any age group that you would use this activity for. And some of them, I might have to do a couple tweaks on them, or I might have different activities depending on what the activity is. So this week we have one activity, and it seems like it will work for any of the age groups. Sometimes I might say repeat the lesson above, but make this course correction, maybe explain this a little bit more, give you like kind of some helpful hints. And then with your last group, that's kind of it's like your homeroom group. They start with you at the very beginning, and they're going to be your last group. You really want to make sure that you pray with them. And so we really are kind of trying to connect. This is kind of a portion that's a little bit more tangible. So praying with them, you really want to pray with your students. So I always do that by saying, all right, well, let's bow our heads, close our eyes, putting our attention and focus on God. And this week we're talking about, how Joseph saved his family, and they were not very nice to Joseph. Joseph's brothers tried to, sell him into slavery, and that was, that would be hard for me to forgive. So this week, we're praying and asking God for forgiveness. Maybe that they need to have forgiveness and a heart of forgiveness for someone who has hurt them. So really helps to just kind of pray through those things and gives them an opportunity to be like, oh, this is kind of how this has worked out in life. Then you want to work on your key passage. You're only going to do this with your last group. Sometimes I have an activity here. Sometimes it's just straight up if we've been doing this verse for several weeks. It's just, practice it and do it. You are always welcome to, lead the kids in singing the key passage song. It's on your TVs, and this is how to access that. During this service, they will only get that key passage song in that last section. Sometimes they get to do it during Bible if there's enough time, but there's only about 20 minutes, so sometimes it's hard to work that in. So, the song is great. You want to make sure that, they're hearing it maybe even more than once. So not that you have to do it more than once, but maybe like when they're coming in the beginning, play it. So that it's just on the screen and the kids are hearing the words to the song. And then maybe if you have time and they're working on like this next section, your journal or activity pages, you can play the song while they're coloring. It just kind of helps them to bring it into their mind and trap it in there. This is really important for the younger kids, as especially like our kindergartners. A lot of them can kind of read, but they can definitely do the song. So just make sure that you can use it in several different aspects. You could just have it playing in the background as you're doing something else, or you guys can stand up and actually do the motions with it. So the activity pages are great. They're a great way. They're great fillers. So if you have a little bit of time that you need, before parents pick up, have them work on these activity pages. The younger kids also have coloring pages that they can work on, and this just kind of helps fill up some time. And again, you can always, have them do the key passage song. The journal page always has these great questions, and they're the same questions with every week. You can ask these same questions, but they're great. And, you might even want to take one of these questions and kind of think about it for yourselves. And as they're working on things, or as you're kind of wrapping up your story, kind of be like, I was thinking about this story, and this story teaches me that, like, maybe I need to be a little bit better about forgiving. I need to be a little bit better about forgiving, because I think about what God has forgiven me. I need to, extend that to others, being Jesus to others. You always want to make sure that you're sending the pages home with their parents. So this helps their parents to understand and know what they're learning. It also gives them the key passage so they can continue to work on it, and it just helps them to continue that learning at home. As the kids are being picked up, no one should be released to go to the bathroom. So once parents start picking up, like, you can't go to the bathroom anymore, you need to be done handing out prizes, no one should be in the hallway. The kids who are in the hallway should be with their parents, because there's so much chaos in the hallway. I don't want, like, a kid, somehow getting lost in the mix. So just make sure that, like, you keep the kids in there as they're about to be picked up, and then make sure that you check the number on their tag. You can leave the tag on them. And the students will take it off and put it on the sticker ball. So just to make sure to check it. If you have extra time, so this is for any of your groups, and everybody has this. It's just like a little activity that you can do. We don't usually have extra time, but maybe the game you're supposed to play, total flop, totally did not work. The kids are not getting it at all. Go to your extra time. Activity, it's the same activity, so the kids may have played it before. And usually they like to play things again and again. So, just make sure that you have that. And then this is for crafts. Sometimes you guys might need extra scissors or whatever, and you can borrow those from the other rooms. Just make sure to put them back. Before you leave, we think it's really important that we leave things better than we find them. So make sure that you clean everything up, that you recycle the papers, that you throw all the trash away, you put supplies away, that you clean the tables with the Clorox wipes, especially during the winter, during all the sickness. It's really important that we do those things. And then, for this group, you still have another service. So you want to make sure that your room is set up the way the diagram says for Sunday mornings. So if you had to change the furniture for a game that you were playing, just make sure before you leave that the furniture matches the diagram that's for Sunday mornings. I always keep the gospel, God's plan for me in your curriculum just to remind you. So this week we talked about how God how like God provided for Joseph's family. Well, we could really talk about how God provided by sending his son, just in the same way that Joseph was there to provide for his family. God provided Jesus for our sins, to be the substitute for our sin. And there's some scripture to go with that. So it's always good to pull one of these and really kind of, expand upon it a little bit within what you're doing. And then this is just our bathroom policy. Our bathroom policy is the kids can go to the bathroom or get a drink of water at an appropriate time, like when you think it's an appropriate time for them to go. And except for when parents are picking up. We have a person who is in the hallway all the time, so they're watching the bathrooms, they're making sure that kids aren't running crazy, and they make sure that people get back to where they need to be. The same with the prizes. They can go and get their own prize. Let's say the gumball machine isn't working or we ran out of candy out of the bag of candy. All you need to say is, super sorry about your luck. Can you choose another prize? It's too much to try to fix a gumball machine in the middle of service. So just be like, hey, I'm really sorry. That's why we have so many options so the kids can kind of pick what they want. So thank you guys so much for all that you do. We really couldn't do this ministry without you. And I feel so blessed to get to work with you. So thank you so much.